You are young, you are ambitious, and you want to make it big early in your life. So in today's video, I'm going to reveal the 7 principles for young people in their early 2030s to become a millionaires. I made my first $1 million at 22 years old, and no matter what you see on TikTok, I want you to know that it's not normal. It is not normal in any shape, form or fashion, but it is because I followed these 7 principles. So what I'm going to reveal to you today not only helped me to make my first $1 million, but it has also helped me to clearly understand how I can amass a net worth of $10 million by my 25 years old. So I'm speaking from experience here, but I do want to make it clear that no matter what anyone says, I will say that a very large portion of why I'm in the position I'm today is because of luck, timing and the right actions that I started doing earlier than my peers. So let's get back to these principles. The first principle you need to learn if you want to be a millionaire in your youth is that in order to be a king, you must first be a pawn. And this is really the issue with this generation, and I say this generation even though I'm included in it, but I grew up in a fairly conservative environment and in a mixed European and East Asian traditions. So I grew up in traditional principles related to respect for elders, for more experienced people, and when you're a kid, you don't have any options. You learn respect and you learn the pecking order, and I learned from childhood that it is necessary to respect the elders, listen to them. And even now, sitting across the table from the elders, I listen to them, even if they're less successful than me. I don't take everything they say on board, but at least I listen. And because I grew up in this environment of learning respect, I learned that, hey, you can be a king one day, in my case a queen, but in order to be a king, you first need to be a pawn. You first need to be able to earn your stripes. And by the way, I started earning my first stripes from my school, but I was trying to find my place. I performed small services for adults and learned a lot from them. It's kind of like, look, when you're young and you join a football team, you're going to be one who is called ball boy, who will only bring the balls and collect the equipment at the end of the training. And you need to go through this to become a captain one day. You don't just come and suddenly become a captain, especially if you're young. And this is a problem of this current social media society. They look at people and things and think, okay, now I'm going to jump from this point to this one and I deserve it for some reason, and I even get this to this one day. Some people say, Lara, why do you recommend and show us strategies that you used to do? Why don't you recommend what you're doing right now? But guys, do you realize how that sounds? Do you realize why I may suggest strategies and techniques I did when I first started my journey, or within some years into my journey? But now that I'm coming up to my 6 years as a trader, do you now realize why I would suggest strategies that I started as a pawn, as someone with no resources, no connection, no money, nothing? Do you realize why I suggest this? I'm sure you kind of understand why I think it's better than that, but that's what I'm saying. The younger generation, they look at things and think, no, I want to cross the finish line right away. But you have to earn your stripes, so just remember, to be a king, you must first learn to be a pawn. And there is nothing wrong with that. There is no ability in starting from the very bottom of the hierarchical ladder, being calm, respecting the process and understanding that eventually you will work your way to the top. And now the next principle for young people to become millionaires is dress to elevate. And here's what I mean by that. When you're young, people are going to automatically discredit you, and their further attitude towards you depends on the first impression. And as we all know, good clothes open all doors. I think you don't want to make things worse because of the way you dress. So here is the thing. Look, we can have a 30-year-old person who dressed under the big brands like Gucci, Balenciaga, with funny shoes, a bunch of labels and all that stuff. I mean, I don't mind it. Sometimes in my normal life I dress in street clothes, but if I'm going to an important meeting or I want to demonstrate my position in society, I can guarantee you that I won't dress like that. So you can find a 30-year-old person who dresses like this and looks like a 20-year-old, and at the same time find an 18 or 20-year-old person who dresses very traditionally and who looks like he's 30. So the point is that you don't need to spend crazy amounts of money on all these labels, and I don't think it's a good idea at all unless you really can afford it. My best recommendation is to just choose clothes that don't have a brand or label on them. And I'm not saying that you need to dress up in three-piece suits and cocktail dresses. Of course not. Listen, even if you just put on a simple white t-shirt, simple classic trousers and just some classic shoes of timeless shape, and you can already look good and can kind of hold your own in any room. Sometimes less actually means more. So first learn how to just dress classic and timeless, and then later down the line you can start incorporating some cool stuff. Choosing simple, high quality clothes that can be combined with each other, and in this way you will always have a simple and elegant but not too dressed up image in any situation. I also include your self-presentation skills and the ability to save face to the same point. When you get into a new environment for yourself, it is very easy to get confused and start behaving unusually for others, especially if you are young and get into an older company. And in this case, it is very important to be serious enough, control your emotions, maintain self-confidence, and not give away your real age and excitement. Because I'm being honest with you, I experienced this firsthand. People will try to discredit you because of your age, so don't give them any excuse or reason to make it an even bigger thing that it needs to be. So dress and behave older than you are now. The third principle for you to become millionaires is have something external that humbles you. And here's what I mean by that. There is a lot of people who are young with a lot of ambition in their life, but the issue is there is nothing in their life that has humbled them and made them stronger. Big sports or business will humble you because no matter how good you are, when you get in this new world, it will tell you how good you are. I'll give you a good example. I remember when I was 18 years old, I was just starting to earn money in financial markets, and by a lucky chance, at that time I made my first $10,000. I considered myself a trading genius and was sure that I would do even more. I drew pictures in my head of a rich life and everything like that, but at the same time I began to lose money. Every day for several months I only received losses and lost all my earned money. And I will remember sitting and crying at that moment, talking to my mom and just thinking, wow, I feel like a loser, just starting to make great results and feel like a star as life shows you, no girl, you still need to work hard. And in fact, I didn't have much knowledge or experience at that time, but now everything is completely different. Most of my trades are profitable. I have a great team and I know exactly what I'm doing. And I do it well because for 18 years I was humbled by the fact that, hey, maybe you're not as good as you think. Maybe you think that you're just this little child prodigy. Are you sure about this? Let me humble you. So whether it's business, whether it's sports or trading, you need something external in your life to humble you and put you in your place. Because the thing is, especially if you had a lot of success at a young age, you'll start to think you're a cool guy. And if you don't have anything to humble you, you will end up becoming your worst enemy. So the next principle you need to follow is only fulfilling relationships with anyone. Friends, acquaintances, or soulmate, either something serious or nothing at all. Listen, if you're in your teens or early 20s, then take on something serious. No random dates, no hang out with unknown people and so on. If you're at a young age, then do your best for yourself and find people who will share your interests and goals and will support you on the way to them. All these alcohol parties and things with Tinder are complete nonsense. Someone will say to me, why not? They are my best years, I want to have fun, Come on guys, let me tell you something. It takes away from your best years for creating something. Just think about it. You will spend 5 or 10 years of life on meaningless connections and hangouts, and by the age of 30 or 40, you will realize that you have nothing. You have not created a base for your further development. You have not created comfort for your family, and you will start from scratch. And all those people with whom you just hang out will also start from scratch, and you will no longer have time for each other because you will have to work and work hard all the next years. But at the same time, you could spend these best years on creation, on your development, on creating financial freedom and doing it surrounded by the same motivated people, so that by the age of 30, 40, you could have everything you wanted and share it with like-minded people, your close friends and loved ones. And for the rest of your life, really have fun and a lot of emotions, but this will already be emotions from things of a different level. And for your understanding, I will clarify that I also like to have fun. There is nothing wrong with that, but I'm good at balancing work and leisure, and with my friends, I spend most of my time traveling, sharing experiences, visiting interesting cultural places, and so on. So, as I have already said, be focused. Build full-fledged relationships with people, and then, as soon as you achieve something, you can have a lot of fun with your loved ones. Principle number 5 is keep your circle small but your influence large. And here is what I mean by that. There is nothing wrong with many people knowing you or with you having many acquaintances, but you should have very few friends. And here is the thing. Most people in this sometimes fake life don't know the difference between an acquaintance and friend, because most people don't understand what true loyalty is. They're around people that they don't like. They're around people who clout on money or both of that. And that's why, by the way, it's so important to get yourself strong first. In this way, people will not be able to influence you in the future with the help of money or power. But let's go back to the point. Keep your circle tight, but your influence large. Many people can shoot now of you, and I'm not talking about having a massive social media or something like that. I just mean, even in this industry, you never unnecessarily burn bridges. Always be very polite to people, but always understand that you can probably only have a select handful of true friends, true people that will love you and do anything for you. That's a very small circle. So your circle of influence can and should be large, but keep your actual circle solid and full of good people. And now the next principle you need to follow is that the God will always test you to see what you can handle. And if you can't, He will take it away from you. And this is very important, because becoming successful and making your first million in your early 20s or 30s, that's great. Congratulations! Can you keep it now? And not only can you keep it, can you multiply it? Because that's a lot of pressure. Listen, if you make your first $1 million when you're 18 or 20 or even 30, that's great. But that's a lot of pressure every year after that. Can you hold at the same standard? So you need to understand that God, if He blesses you, if He gives you that million at young age, He's going to see if you can handle it. He's going to see if you can humble yourself. That's why earlier I told you have things external in your life that will constantly humble you, setting constant challenges for you and seeing if you can accomplish something more. Because here's the thing, if you don't have these external things to humble you, if you don't humble yourself, God will humble you. And when God humbles you, it will be really hard if you're not ready for it yet. As quickly as it is given, it's taken away, and you need to understand these things. So as long as you go into it with a mindset that when you make your first million, you're going to be driving around only in a Lamborghini, or you're going to go to the bank and take out $50,000 in cash. If you think that you will only post photos on Instagram with this money and drink a cocktail on the beach and the money will come into your hands by itself, God will put in your place. So before that happens, Put other things in place. To do it once is nothing special. You will become a legend if you can do it again and again. And now the last principle to tie it all together is invest early and invest as much as you can. Here is the thing, if you make money at young age, try to get them away from as soon as possible. I'm talking about property, I'm talking about maybe even buying some physical gold, I'm talking about things where the money can get away from you. It can be crypto or stocks, it also can be trading, and of course it can be knowledge in absolutely different fields. It actually makes things a little bit more difficult, but when you're young age, your worst enemy. You're probably the biggest reason you're going to mess up. So what you want to do is once you make money, push it away as quick as possible. Because here is the other thing. And once again, I'm talking from experience. When you're young and you make a lot of money, you know what people think? People don't think, oh, well done. People think you got lucky. So there is no point being 20 years old, driving all these supercars and all this stuff because you're not impressing anyone. People just think you're lucky. That's it. So you're better off taking this money, investing it, and when you're 23 or 25 or more, you get to an age where people can kind of believe this has happened a little bit more. That's when you can enjoy and you can live it up and you can do these things, because when you get out of your supercar, people will actually think that you bought that. So just promise yourself that any money that comes in, I'm going to invest as much as I can. I'm going to make myself so it, and I'm going to enjoy these things a little later down the line. So guys, I present to you these principles as someone who can speak to you more realistically, because I'm in your age now. I'm from your generation. I'm showing you a way how to do it now, not 20 years ago, but right now. So I hope this has been a value to you. As a reminder, just leave comments with your insights. I try to answer everyone, and don't forget to subscribe to my social networks, whether it's a YouTube channel or my Telegram community. I will be glad to each of you. And good luck!